Welcome to Thru the Ringer. I'm your host, Tate Frazier, and today we got a fun show. I'm joined by Cousin Sal.
I couldn't wait.
Come on.
I couldn't wait.
It's great to have you back in the studio. Great to see you.
And what is we're supposed to be in a news studio. I feel like I'm lying to the people every week.
Well, that's the tease. You know what I mean? The people that are sticking with the show every week, they're like, where will they be this week?
Okay.
This week we're in the same studio.
It's like the Bears can't get a new stadium. This is it. We're just going to live here. This is fine. It's pretty colors. We're good. There's
looks pretty good. And it's great to have everybody back on the show. We got a lot to get to, Sal. But first and foremost, we got to start with First Tate.
Oh.
And I say to you, based on their TD celebrations, the Vikings, who we saw on Monday Night Football, 2 games that weren't great, but the Vikings, they've been good. Sal, I say to you, their defense would win pop culture Jeopardy. If you haven't seen the defense, when they score touchdowns, they have a celebration plan. They've done White Chicks, they've done the Parent Trap, they've done Ray Gun.
Yeah.
They've only scored 4 touchdowns as a unit, but they got to dance for all of them.
The defense. Listen, I think the Vikings are the pretty girl that's trying to get recognized, and she's not enough.
Like Ray Gun.
Like Ray Gun, like Sandra D from Greece, right?
Okay.
She had to put the leather jacket on and stomp out the cigarette with the high heels. And
all of a sudden,
tell
she's
me about
Sandy.
It, stud. 12-2. No one's talking about them as being the potential representative for the NFC, which, by the way, you can get 6-1 for that. But, yeah, they come up with all these clever dances. They're great. They've obviously practiced them. It also locks in Cam Bynum for Dancing with the Stars season 64.
Yeah.
But, it's good. I like it. They're trying to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, they need a name. Purple People Performers, maybe?
Oh, that's good.
They can figure it out. But there you go. I like the Vikings defense. I like the pop culture references. Next up, Sal, I say to you, Dolphins linebacker Anthony Walker surprising his teammates with their high school jerseys is the best Christmas gift I've ever seen, Sal. You were laughing at me. I really thought this was great.
Because you're getting choked up. You're like, even when you introduced us in the pre-production meeting, like, it was the best, man.
This might be the sweetest thing I've ever seen.
So what did he do? He bought like their high school?
All their high school jerseys. They're showing them to each other like, you went to the high school with the goats.
Yeah.
LOL. Look at this jersey. Nike made them all. It was great.
It's nice. I saw it. I scrolled by it immediately. Look, I'm getting everyone.
You put mute. Yeah.
I'm getting everyone Gold Belly gift cards. You hear that, staff? So that's who am I to say? Of course, this is a nice thing. It's a nice touch. And what did Mike McDaniel, the
he
DJ,
did not get one.
Did he play some like melancholy music?
Yeah, I like to think so. Yeah. DJ Mike in there making things happen. Yeah, some nice melancholy music. Everyone's crying. Everyone's looking at their high school jerseys. I think it's a nice moment.
They already got you as emotional as you're going to get. We don't need it.
The Christmas spirit, I just can't get away from it. Last one, Sal. Mike Evans, that's right, wide receiver Mike Evans is obviously a Hall of Famer. And as I watched this weekend, as he eviscerated the Chargers defense, I was saying, Sal, maybe he's the reason Johnny Football ever worked in the first place. Obviously, it didn't work in Cleveland, but in college, he got all the credit. But Mike Evans, my God, he is unbelievable, Sal.
When you say Johnny Football ever worked, Johnny Manziel ever worked, like got a W-2?
Yeah. Before
Yeah.
that, when he was in college and he was getting paid in briefcases and bags. That's
right.
what I'm saying.
I think so. He's great. Mike Evans. I think he's going to be close with the Hall of Fame because he's like 24th in most yards receiving out of anyone, wide receiver or tight end. I think if he gets another 1,500, he's top 12. Then he kind of has to be considered for the Hall of Fame, maybe even first ballot, dare I say. But, listen, I like Mike Evans because he doesn't tuck in his shirt. And my mother for years has been telling me still to tuck in my shirt. I'm like, Hall of Famer Mike Evans doesn't do it. Why should I?
And in college, you get a technical foul in basketball, at least, if you don't tuck in your jersey. But Mike Evans said nay. And maybe that is the first Tate here, that Mike Evans is a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's probably.
Okay, let's go back. Start over.
Let's redo that. Let's say that. Now it's my favorite time, Sal. We get to play my favorite game, over-under reactions. I give you a statement. You tell me if it's an over or an under reaction. Sometimes it's proper. We'll start here. Our 2 teams played this weekend, and I say, I should suffer. Who wrote this? I should suffer a consequence to you as a result of the Panthers losing to the Cowboys. Over under reaction.
Of course, under reaction. You should have been wearing. We were supposed to wear a jersey.
Right.
And then you forgot it. I mean, now I feel like there should be a double consequence. Now, truth be told.
Maybe I wear 2 jerseys,
wear
on
the
a
2
hat.
jerseys.
Yeah, right.
Wear a hat on your face. I think, had the Panthers beaten the Cowboys.
I wore a bag on my face to start this season.
That's true.
People forget.
That's true. You never should have taken it off. 30-14 to the Cowboys. That is disgusting.
After being favored, by the way, Sal.
Yes.
That was the best bet of the weekend. As soon as the Panthers were favored,
we came out.
all the money on the Cowboys. Yeah.
That was it.
Hey, Dowdle. looked pretty good to me in this game. So a lot of Dowdle jokes this year, but he looked good against the Panthers.
Take that, Doubters. Yeah, I think, you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to wear like a Greg Hardy jersey or something. We're going to figure it out.
I'll do so, yeah. Oh, man. There's a lot of bad Panthers. Josh Norman, a lot of bad Panthers jerseys I have that I can bring in here. Next up, Sal, the Bills and the Lions will meet again in the Super Bowl. Over or underreaction?
Underreaction, I hope, because I bet on these teams exactly to meet in the Super Bowl. And if it comes in, I could afford to buy an island in the Caribbean or something. It'd be nice. I'm less excited now knowing that the Lions defense is you could play defensive end at this point.
They're calling anybody.
Yeah. If you're 170 pounds or up, it's going to be tough for Dan Campbell with these post-game, pep talks is going to be tougher and tougher. Bills, on the other hand, I don't know if anyone can match them. I know everyone's they still have to play defense. Not sure. I don't know. I think 40 wins every game going forward for the Buffalo Bills. So I'm more excited about that part of it. Lions have some work to do. I don't know. I don't even know if guys are coming back on defense.
Yeah, they're trying to get guys back, but in general, the Lions, it's a lot more guys on the IR than it feels like are on the actual roster right now as you go through it. But the Bills, they might not have to punt the rest of the year. They should just go for it every single time.
They're now favored to win the Super Bowl. It's the first time in a while. So.
Yeah. Yep. Congratulations to Josh Allen. Next up, let's talk about his rival, Patrick Mahomes. Sal, I say to you, Mahomes should sit out the rest of the regular season. Over or under reaction?
Probably not. Probably an overreaction. Now, I think he was a full participant in practice today. I don't think Netflix will let him. By the way, Netflix is more powerful than the Roman Empire, right? Ted Sarandos is Augustus Caesar, and if he paid a lot of money.
That's the real gladiator too, right there. Netflix and NFL.
You're going to see Andy Reid's head rolling down a turnpike in Kansas City somewhere if Mahomes doesn't play. But honestly, Wentz, if he was in, could beat the Texans this week. And then you have Pittsburgh and Denver in a game that might not matter to the Broncos. Maybe they should consider sitting him out. Although, like I said, a ton of money to miss out on. And by the way, he probably doesn't want to spend Christmas with that family. He's probably happy to play.
Yeah, I think he's going to play just for that reason alone right there. And he has been hit more than any other season this year. So something to keep an eye on with Mahomes. Next up, Sal, Jonathan Taylor should issue an apology to people who lost their fantasy league playoff because he dropped the ball at the goal line. It was an 8-point swing. Yeah. Him dropping the ball there. And a lot of people coming out after the fact saying he's a great man, he's a good guy. But regardless, over or under reaction.
He's not a great man. He costs people money. And forget an apology. It's an underreaction. He should be sending gift baskets. He should be sending gingerbread houses to people. 9% of people, I think it was in Yahoo leagues, lost their fantasy playoff game because of this, him dropping the ball. And Tate, I don't understand it. I know there's been comparisons made to what this is like, and we'll get to it later. But there is a giant 53-yard by 10-yard rectangle, and it's usually a different color from the rest of the field. You should be able to know when you've hit pay dirt, and not fumble the ball carelessly and for no reason before that. I don't get it.
It's crazy. Yeah. And it's a phenomenon. I feel like we see it every few years where it kind of it's almost contagious too. It's like Shanks in golf. Where one guy does it, it starts happening everywhere.
He's not a 400-pound lineman who never scored in his life. He has dozens of touchdowns.
He scores lots of touchdowns. He's used to scoring touchdowns. Did not work this time. Next up, Sal, Brock Purdy will get over $55 million a year once he gets a new deal. Over or under reaction? I
think it's an underreaction. I've got. Is that a lot of money? I'm not sure. I can't tell anymore. It's a lot. It's more like, is that more than buying the whole team jerseys from their high school? That's the only thing I can equate. Purdy, I've gone back and forth with him. The problem is he is kind of worth it because you're going to get anywhere from an version of a quarterback to a great version of a quarterback. And all you have to do is look at the 1 p.m. games this week. You have Mason Rudolph, you have Desmond Ridder, you have Dorian Thompson Robinson, Michelle Geller, whatever the hell his name is. This guy is worth more than them. He just is. It doesn't matter. Just pay him the 55. That's what you get in 2024.
And you have to say to yourself, will someone else pay him this money? And the answer is probably yes. Yeah. And if that's the case, you're going to have to pay him. He might not be, quote unquote, a top 5 QB, but he
one
does
of those
what
teams
you need.
I just mentioned.
Exactly.
Listen, this time last year we were talking about him for MVP. So I get it. Everything kind of has to be right. The Debos have to be able to catch the ball and everything else. Ayuk is out and stuff like that. McCaffrey, but still worth it, I think.
I think so, too. Next up, Caleb Williams, who has been sacked 58 times, will break David Carr's record for time sacked in a season. The number is 76 for Carr. Over or under reaction? So.
Yeah, I'm going to say overreaction, but it is funny if you would have told Bears fans, good news. your draft pick, number 1 draft pick, is going to set a franchise record. And then you'd be whooping it
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Everybody would be drinking, eating deep dish pizza. No, the franchise record is 58 sacks so far and rolling. I don't think he gets to 76 because there's 3 games left.
It would take a lot. If he gets to 76, it's a real issue.
Well, that'd be 18 over 3 games. And they play the Lions, who I think are just rushing 2 at this point.
Right.
So
I think they're rushing the 2 of us.
Yeah, maybe it's the 2
heard.
of us. Yeah, David Carr, your record's intact. Take a swig of champagne. You did it again.
You did it, David Carr. You're special.
Yeah.
Next up, LeBron took time off to control the drones flying over New Jersey. Over or under reaction?
This is a wild story, Tate.
Yeah,
I think I want an answer
so.
At some point. This is like Leslie Nielsen and Naked Gun. Like, there's nothing to see here. Move on. There's fireworks going on for miles. But, and then people will say, no, they're just private drones flying. Like, really? Like, it's like a flash mob? Private drones? They're all getting together once?
LeBron's supposed to be our Captain America, so maybe
that's true.
So we sent him out there. Yeah, he's our Avenger.
I don't know where he is, though. Is this how he's going to announce the next team he's going to? The drones are going to form the word Minnesota Timberwolves in like a week or so?
Well, Golden State Warriors. All I know is he came back, Sal, and he had a huge dunk, and he looked like 21-year-old LeBron. So I don't know if it was personal reasons, professional reasons, but
okay, so maybe he's not flying
out.
the drones. Maybe that's an overreaction.
I think it might be an overreaction. Next up, the Menendez brothers will get out of prison, Sal, before the Jets make the playoffs. Over or under reaction?
Can I say proper reaction? I think this is actually going to happen at the same time.
Yes.
The Menendez brothers will get out of jail, and they'll be signed by the Jets as the best edge rushers. You know, they'll be like hardened criminals by then. They'll be tough dudes. And so I think they'll become great defensive ends for the Jets. So this could work out for both. I think it's a proper reaction. And then maybe they even take over the Mannings. As the brother
they have their own alt cast.
On ESPN.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Everyone's locked in. It'll be good. Kim Kardashian first guest. It'll be nice.
Yeah.
Next up, Sal, there will be over 1.5 upsets in the first round of the CFP. Over or under reaction?
Well, let me tell you something. We have our brackets out there on FanDuel right now, so people could check it out. I don't even have to say right now what I think, but I do. It's under. I already forgot who's playing. No, Penn State. Penn State won't get upset, I don't think, until the second round. Ohio State and Texas, I think, both advance. Indiana is the only upset I have for the Friday-Saturday games. Big win for Kurt Signetti and the Hoosiers against Notre Dame.
Yeah, 10-7 matchup there in a battle in Indiana. So
do you have any upset? You don't have any.
I think there might be one, but I don't.
What do you have?
I think the upset that I have here is Clemson over Texas, but I don't want to.
Oh, that's the big one. All right, that's 12-5.
I know. I was like, I don't want to hurt your pick for later.
You're not going to hurt anything. Just move on to the next one. Yeah.
Next up, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter will go 1-2 in the NFL draft. Over or under reaction, Sal? Do you believe in the Sanders hype?
No, I think overreaction. Maybe 2 and 3. They might go back to back, or maybe 28-29. But I still think Cam Ward gets taken by the Raiders or Giants. I think this Deion hysteria wears down a little, and then when we have like pro days and stuff like that, and I think we're going to look at fundamentals, and people are going to see Cam Ward's the better quarterback. Not to mention, if the Raiders draft first, they could do something stupid like take Carson Beck's twin brother, who we've never seen before. There's always something Raiders involved there to throw things off.
Yeah, and Shedeur Sanders selling himself to the Raiders,
true.
And then we also had the report that he didn't want to play for the Giants and that he would, try not to play for the Giants.
But he was playing catch with
Malik Neighbors in the street.
Is that tampering?
Coach Prime said that was a made-up report, so he will play anywhere. Really? So there you go.
What's the made-up report? There was a video of him.
No, the made-up report was that he wouldn't play for the Giants. The video says he's being tampered with to play for the Giants. Right,
I see. Maybe that's what the drones are looking at? I don't know.
There's a lot going on. Yeah. And speaking of a lot going on, here's the last one. From the group that brought you Turkey is the Tom Hanks of Thanksgiving comes
timeless. Yeah.
Giannis Antetokounmpo is the Rudolph of the NBA, and I can explain this to you, Sal. Basically,
please, I'll give you 20 minutes.
The NBA is looking around. They're saying, who is going to lead us in these dark times? Who can lead us to the promised land? We don't have any light. There are no bright lights in the game, and Giannis Antetokounmpo is that bright light. He is that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer who's going to bring the NBA back to the forefront. That's a good way to spin this. Over or under reaction.
So emotional and tender here between the local jerseys,
Rudolph, Giannis,
the bright
high school
light
jerseys.
and everything.
Come on.
First of all, Rudolph, the actual Rudolph, not Mason Rudolph, the actual Rudolph.
Yeah.
I watched it again with my kids. He really should have told everyone to F off. They were such jerks to him. They
so
really
mean.
Should have walked away from the reindeer game, just like the 49ers, like Campbell, like he did last week. What the hell? What was this? What is this? I don't know. Listen, if anything, I think
reaction.
Embiid is is the Rudolph.
No,
He's got this sinus fracture that makes a glowing.
If Embiid had the light of Rudolph, he would not share that light.
But he's got the nose injury, the big red nose.
He would sit out. He would say, it's a back-to-back.
Right.
Sorry, Santa. I can't do it. We did Christmas Eve. I can't do Christmas.
Well, that would have been the right reaction. Yeah.
Proper reaction. Now let's call up the Riverboat captain. Let's do some prop culture here, Sal. We got a big question as we turn to the new year. The question is this one. What was the biggest sports surprise of 2024? We got the odds here. The favorite, Bill Belichick, being hired as the North Carolina head coach at 3-1. We got the Army-Navy football game going over at 5-1. We got Ray Gunn's Olympic breakdancing performance 7-1. And we got Mike Tyson's bare buttocks at 25-1. And the field at even odds. What say you, Sal?
I think Tyson's bare buttocks was planned because he knew the fight was going to be so hideous that he's like, I got to give the people
Imagine
something.
being that camera operator. He's like, stand back here.
Yeah, it's crazy. People paying $14.99 a month, Mike. Come on, give us. You're not going to throw a punch, so lose the towel.
Yeah, little skin.
That was surprising, but not too surprising. OJ's death. Doesn't the Lord spare any of the good ones? That was surprising to me.
Yeah, right.
But I'm going to say Scotty Scheffler's arrest. I'm going off the board.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It should have gotten more publicity. And then he birdies the first hole. They get him back into they try to give him some street cred, get him this arrest, and he's still not interesting, but still the best golfer and the best to
and just kept winning after the fact.
Yeah,
Had
he
a
kept
kid,
winning.
right?
Yeah.
Everyone kept waiting for when is this going to end? And no matter what, and he just won recently.
I would have had 40,000 athletes / golfers ahead of him to be arrested, but that still surprises me. Number one. What about you?
I like that pick, Scotty Scheffler getting arrested. I think that's a good one at the field. I'm going to take field one as well. I'm going to take the Yankees and the Dodgers actually being in the World Series because every single year I feel like we go into baseball and everyone's like, what if the Yankees and the Dodgers made it? We have all this prognostication. It never actually happened. So I found it pretty shocking it actually happened.
Well,
so
I'm sorry for the Yankees, but at least they rebounded and signed Juan Soto to. Oh no, they didn't. No, they didn't at all. Interesting. Wow.
Really interesting. Didn't quite work out for the Yankees. I think they'll be all right there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got Track to the Futures and Line Look-Aheads with Cousin Sal. Welcome back to Thru the Ringer. We're here with Cousin Sal, and we already played my favorite game, Sal, and now we got to talk about the game on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Thursday Night Football. How you feeling about this one? Broncos at Chargers.
How
in
you
LA.
feeling? You're the one who has season tickets.
That's true.
Chargers are favored by 3. And talk to me about these season tickets. You sold them? You're
So
done.
when the Chargers first came to Los Angeles, I got these 2 tickets. Pretty good deal, $1,000 a piece. Section 206, and Thursday Night Football I was able to sell these 2 tickets. Sunday I gave them to some friends.
Right.
Overall this year around I lost about $250 in the investment, but sold a good amount of tickets. The Chiefs game, big game. So if you're got the Chiefs on the schedule, it's worth buying the season
So
tickets.
as long as you sell the best games,
Right.
Don't worry about seeing
Well, I
the
went to
best
Ravens.
games.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
I got to see Lamar, right?
Yeah.
That was a big one. Got to see Josh Allen. That was a big one. So
So you saw 3 games for $250?
basically
2 seats?
right.
That's great. That's actually, they
Come
should do
on.
a 30 for 300. That's
thank you.
a modern miracle.
I used to I got this the first season they came to LA when they were basically paying people to go to these games. And that's the reason I got such a great deal.
Nice.
But
And
when
you got out
Simmons
of the
heard
parking
about
lot.
this, he was like, how did you get these 2 tickets? So I
Right.
had to keep it discreet.
Those
for a
should
little
be
while.
mine. Is that like Tony Soprano? You got to kick up the tickets every few weeks to Simmons? Yeah.
Exactly.
All
That's
right.
that's for next year. We'll see what happens. But in this game,
Well, I know you cheer loudly for the Chargers
Oh,
when you're
yeah.
there, and now you're not there. So again, they're not going to have fans. But
there's a chance that the Broncos take over the stadium, but there have been more Chargers fans this season. But again, Chargers -3 in this game, total 42.5. Chargers look like they're trending down right now. Do you buy the dip, Sal, or do you like the Broncos?
I wish the game meant a little more. Like the Chargers they both kind of need one more win. I don't even know if Denver needs another win. Chargers need one more to get at least a 7 seed. But they have New England and the Raiders on their schedule, so they don't need this one. Denver has the 6 wrapped up. Neither of these teams is going to catch the Chiefs for the division, so it's kind of decent enough teams. Tough taking LA given the points again, but I don't think we see a lot out of either side. I think it's a stay away, but I like the under. Chargers are 21-8 in their last 29. The under going in those games. I know that's a terrible sentence, but anyway.
Yeah, I like that sentence. I think you're right. Take the under there. We also got some player props.
Let me hear
game.
how you cheer for the okay. Herbert.
Usually,
back
I'm
to
getting
pass.
attacked by Raiders fans.
Don't pretend you're just
know
in
what
your
I mean?
element. Herbert back pass. McConkey 25 yards touchdown.
Let's go Chargers.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Usually I'm just sitting there silently because you don't want to get attacked.
They need to
you know
move
what I mean?
again. They need to move again in Des Moines or something. That's terrible.
They're fired up, but they got player props in this game. If you don't care about the result of the game,
Okay.
we saw this in Vegas, by the way, with the in-season tournament. The crowd is just cheering for their bets. Giannis had a huge block in that game, and the crowd's just like, oh, gross. I had DeAndre Ayton over.
I don't know if you can call them a crowd, but yeah.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
right. So, but in this one, if you're pulling for the props, what prop do you like in this game?
I like Cortland Sutton over 64.5 receiving yards. I gave out Sutton to score a touchdown on Cousin Sal's winning weekend and Thru Ringer pregame show. By the way, I'm crushing those jabronis. I don't even want to
I
talk
know,
about
it's great.
It's not fair. They don't even belong on
Poor
the show.
JJ getting attacked every week.
Poor everybody. It really is. I like Sutton again to have a decent game. Let's go over 64.5. It's a race to 64.5, Tate. We have to change things
Everyone
up.
says that.
He's done this in 6 of his last 7, where he's averaged 86 yards a game. He's got 8 or more targets in 7 games. Bo knows Cortland. Give me Sutton over 64.5.
I like that. I'm going to stick with the Broncos as well. I'm going to take Javonte Williams, North Carolina football legend, anytime touchdown, plus 175 in this one. I think he gets a carry at the goal line. Think he gets a touchdown right before Christmas. So I'll take Javonte there, plus 175. And if you really believe in Javonte, maybe you go first touchdown. That's like plus 850. So
Okay. What if you don't believe in him at all?
Then you don't bet this.
I say
stay away, as we say.
I like that you think he's going to get a touchdown before Christmas. It's a nice little bonus in his contract.
Of course, yeah, that's his gift. He didn't get his
Christmas
high school jersey, so he got a touchdown. That's how it works. Let's track to the future. Let's do win totals, and let's look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They have the conundrum. We got the Cuz here to solve this conundrum, but they got Pat Mahomes. Did they play them? Did they not play them? The over now for the Chiefs, which the line is 14.5, is plus 104. The under minus 128. But you like the over, Sal.
I do, but this is so tricky. I stared at this for a while. I'm going to stare at it a little more. Hang on.
Okay, let it. Yeah,
here we go.
let it wash over you. Right?
They have
Pat
13
Mahomes.
wins. They need 2 out of the next 3 to get to 15 to go over. They have the Texans. That line is swung. They were a 2.5-point underdog. And then Mahomes kind of practiced. Now they're a 2.5-point favorite. So they have that game. They're at Pittsburgh on Christmas. And then they're at Denver in a game I don't think Denver needs, ironically. So I'm going to go 2. I think they go 2-1. I think them over. Screw it. 2 out of 3 with all the breaks in the world. I'll take the over. You're going against me.
Well, I'm just going to do, this is classic what you have to do on these shows. One person takes one side, you got to take the other side. I'm just going to take the under just because I feel like Pat Mahomes, maybe Andy Reid, they do a little self-evaluation. They realize, hey, last year we won in Buffalo. It's okay if we have to do that again. In fact, it's probably even more fun for them to go win in Buffalo as far as sticking it to Buffalo and defeating them and their mentalities in real time. So I'll take the under there.
Why not go against me? It's not like there's a consequence for us butting heads or that you would honor
There
it.
could be. We don't know. Maybe there's someone runs in here and attacks us. We don't know how it works. But I like the opposite side there. So I'll go the under. Let's track to the future here. North Carolina football, something near and dear to my heart. The over-under. If you go to FanDuel right now, they have an actual tab, Belichick to UNC, and they have this option here, over-under 7.5, which that's the over-under for Carolina football every single year. But Sal, you believe in Bill Belichick and Michael Lombardi.
I do. I believe in Belichick, not Lombardi, really. No, I believe in both of them. And I'm going to go over here. And I think for well, first of all, the wheels are already turning with talent. You might not like the Raiders' offensive coordinator. What'd they score? 5 points the other with 9? I don't know. Okay, whatever. But they're making moves. Guys are going to want to play there. And here's the thing. You have a coach that won the conference in Dabo Swinney that doesn't finagle in the transfer portal at all. This is like the Yankees saying, you know what? We don't care about the international players. The whole rest of the league could have the Dominican Republic. Have at it. This is crazy, and I think Belichick is going to be smart enough to take advantage of this. I'm going to go over. There was 6-4 last year or this year. They could have been 8-4. They blew their last 2. I look at their schedule. Did you look at their schedule?
Yeah.
At UCF, Clemson, at Syracuse, at NC State. They win 2 of those. They're in really nice shape. So.
I'm right there with you. And Lombardi, obviously former co-host here on GM Street, part of the Ringer Podcast Network. Lombardi, his office, Sal, not even decorated. All he's been doing is calling these kids on the phone and just getting a team together. So Lombardi, he's like, I don't need all the pageantry. I don't need this nice, beautiful setup like what we have behind us. He doesn't worry about that. He's just calling these kids. So
I wish him luck. This has got to be it. If this doesn't work, he's going to end up being like a night manager at Bojangles in Vanceboro, North Carolina.
Yeah, there you go.
I had to look that up. Is that an actual actual place?
Yeah, that's a real place.
Okay, good.
The county I'm from is Vance County.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
All
the
right.
town is Henderson,
There you
but
go.
shout out to
Look for
Vance
Lombardi
County.
there, yeah.
And shout out to Lombardi. He'll be taking some trips up there to Vance County to recruit some kids, I'm sure, very soon. I'm going to take the over as well. Buried the lead there, but hopefully we're not jinxing him. We'll knock on wood. But
Here we go.
happy for Lombardi. Happy for Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's smiling. He's getting kids to sign contracts. Says he's going to coach
Do we
these
have
kids.
to send Lombardi some knick-knack, something to put on his wall?
Yeah.
I feel bad now. He's not decorated.
We got to do something. Maybe
What
we
I
did
can't-
have a football in here at some point.
Oh, he would have loved the
He would
football.
have loved that football,
Right up his alley.
that
Yeah.
nondescript football, that old throwback football. Let's do a line look ahead talking about college football. A CFP, Sal, quarterfinal bowl game winners. You like this? All three of these teams together at plus 145. Who do you like?
Yeah, so you could choose your bowl basically.
Right.
So the Rose Bowl is Oregon against the winner of Ohio State and Tennessee, and I like that at plus 145. I like that team, one of those three, winning it all. If Ohio State, Tennessee win, if they were to get past Oregon, they could certainly win the whole thing. It's a fun little bracket bet that FanDuel allows. You could also go, I also like the Big Ten to win the whole thing at minus 120. So in that regard, I'm trading Tennessee for Penn State and Indiana. I kind of like that a little better. It's a little pricier, but that's what a weekend. I mean, they effed up the bracket, but I don't even care.
I don't even care either, but I do like those three. It does feel like with how the dominoes kind of play out, they would be the favorites based on how all
it's
things.
not dominant. It's football.
Yeah, well, that's right. It is football. That's right. It's a different game. But I like Ohio State. I do feel like there is a weird, poetic kind of ending to the season where Ryan Day wins a national championship, and then all the people digging his grave after the Michigan game, he gets to make them eat some crow.
What do you think? How many games does he have to win? Okay, he needs to win 4 to win the whole thing, right?
Right.
What's his over-under to return? Is it a half? Is it 1.5?
I think if he wins, I think it's, if he
loses
wins
to-
one game, I think he's okay.
Really? So
Yeah.
if he beats Tennessee.
If he beats
but
Tennessee, I
gets
think he's okay.
The door's blown off against Oregon. Still?
Not doors blown off.
Oh,
but
not
like,
doors. Okay.
Yeah, right. Close game.
Okay.
Kind of like what we did with SMU in the ACC championship game, where it's just like after the first quarter, 14-0, everyone's like, they're out. Get these guys out. They fought back.
to get in the top
now they're
12.
back in. That's
They're
what I
11,
feel like.
Not even 12. Yeah.
Ryan Day is the SMU of football coaches as we get to the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. But we like the Ducks. We both like the Ducks to win it all.
Yeah, we do. Let's do it.
Come on, Ducks. Let's get it done. Let's track to the future here. Highest scoring team in round one, Sal. Who do you like in round one?
Well, I like Texas at plus 245. They've had 49 or more 4 times at home this year. They're home against Clemson. SMU last week had 31 against Clemson. As you mentioned, it was a little thin early on for the Mustangs, but then they poured on the points a couple weeks ago. Klubnik, homecoming, won a high school state championship in Texas, I think somewhere in Austin. He's
Played
gonna turn
against
it
Quinn
over.
Ewers, by the way.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So this is a fun one, but I think he's going to turn it over. This is a third-ranked defense in the country. I don't think Clemson's faced anything like this, except for maybe Georgia. I mean, this is not Kirby Smart's confusing defense on the Clemson side, right? Quinn Ewers should be able to put up points. The other games also could be rock fights. You could be looking like at 14-9 for, Tennessee and Ohio State or something like that. So I like Texas plus 245.
I like that as well. And the narrative has been Quinn Ewers doesn't even have a spot on this team next season. Does Texas even want him to come back? So I feel like this could be a statement kind of game for him to say,
By the
hey,
way,
I'm going to the pros.
Back to your guys. There's rumors, and there's going to be a million of them, Quinn Ewers or
Arch Manning.
Arch Manning.
Which one do we want?
Tell me.
I don't know. I mean, I got
are
to
you
see the
talking
tape. I
about?
got to watch the game in the playoffs. I mean, personally, I would, go for Arch Manning, but
Yeah.
the Quinn Ewers situation feels more fitting, right?
All
If
right.
he
well, you're
needs
not going
one
to see
more
a lot
run,
of tape on Arch Manning. if Quinn
I
Ewers
need to
does.
see the 3 snaps that he takes
All
in
right,
this game.
you heard it, everyone. Tate needs to see something.
I need to see 3 snaps. Let's see if we can throw it. Next up's out UFC. We got Usyk versus
It's
Fury.
not UFC. Come on. It's boxing.
It's
like an
boxing.
old pugilistic.
Yeah, sorry.
Come on.
UFC took their spot in my brain.
Much
so
bigger
that's what
gloves. You're
happened.
going to freak out when you see the bigger gloves.
Boxing. Fury Usyk. Who do you like in this one, Sal?
Usyk, this was a fun one back in May. Usyk took a split decision. I thought it was 115, 112 Usyk. I'm going to take him by unanimous decision, plus 250. All 3 judges rule in his favor. Fury takes rounds off, and then he showboats in others. And the other thing is, you never know in what kind of shape he's going to be. So Usyk might just pound him for 12 rounds. This could be just a big payday. I know one's 37 and one's 36 years old. I think it goes the distance, and this time all 3 judges judges side with the big Ukrainian plus 250. You get it by unanimous decision.
I like that. Unanimous plus 250.
It's in the
Take
middle of the
that to
day. All
bank.
these games and the boxing, or
It's
as
too
you call
much.
it, UFC. It's right in the middle. It's all right. The
Boxing,
head-to-head
now
and
known
stuff.
as UFC to everybody
Yeah.
in the world. You can tell I'm locked in on that, obviously. Last thing, the Tate debate. There is a debate that is sweeping the nation, and I can't even take credit for it because in the Guest Alliance podcast from Sunday night, we got a clip here. We'll roll that right now so you can take a look at this.
Do people black out when they're about to score? It's the only thing I can think of. Is it like having an orgasm where you just kind of lose perspective and you're like, you just like lose the ball? What
do that
other
again.
explanation could there?
So there you have it. And I asked you the question, Sal. Is dropping the ball at the goal line like having an orgasm? This is
Jesus,
everyone's
Tate.
having this conversation.
First of all, we're short on time here, so we may have to play that clip like 3 or 4 times consecutively.
I was watching this live as this was said, and I couldn't believe it. You were watching.
I was kind of watching it live too, and I had to react. I don't think you didn't have to react. You
No.
probably did. I don't demand this of all my Ringer co-hosts, so you're lucky.
Right.
You don't have to do that. I think maybe Bill put a little too much eggnog in his NBA cup on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Is what happened. He might be losing his mind, or maybe offering something to the ladies for the holidays. I have no idea.
We don't know. It's the gift that keeps on giving. But this was a hilarious clip, and it had to be part of the Tate
It's
debate.
good. It's all over now.
Yeah.
The Ringer's done.
It was
Thanks,
a fun
Bill.
run. It was a fun
Thanks,
run.
Jonathan Taylor.
I hope we have a great Christmas. Sal, where can we find all your work, and then we'll let you get out of here.
Right here through the Ringer, but you just
Yeah.
watch that Against All Odds twice a week on the Ringer Podcast Network, Ringer pregame show Sunday morning, FanDuel TV, and Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend Friday mornings, FanDuel TV.
Love it. Heather Dinich on the show talking
she's
college football playoff.
I mean,
There
she's
you
going
go.
to be great. I haven't interviewed her yet.
Yeah,
It's
it
gonna be
definitely
great.
hasn't happened yet. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got the Ringer's very own Bryan Curtis joining the show, and we'll see you then.
Do people black out when they're about to score? It's the only thing I can think of. Is it like having an orgasm where you just kind of lose perspective and you're like, you just like lose the ball? What
do that
other
again.
explanation could there?
Welcome back to Thru the Ringer. Joining us now, the press box's very own Bryan Curtis. He's back on the show. Bryan, good to see you, man.
It's great to see you, Tate. It's been too long.
It's been way too long, and there's a lot of things that we have on the docket here to talk about, and this might be the most far-fetched. If I told you this the last time we spoke about a month ago, that Bill Belichick would be the head coach at North Carolina, I think you would have laughed just like that and said, Tate, are you okay? But it is reality, Bryan Curtis. He is the head coach, and your thoughts, just generally speaking, on that news.
I would have had you committed if you told me he was going to be the coach at North Carolina.
I said it on this show 2 weeks ago, and everyone in here laughed at me. I mean, who would have thought?
Sometimes the people laughed at turned out to be pretty prescient. Let me tell you that. My first thought was his TV rehab kind of failed in a way because there's no way.
He's just such a coach, you know what I mean?
He's such a coach, but there's no way he wasn't going to get an NFL job. He was going to go do TV. He was going to convince everybody that he wasn't that difficult to work
He's
with.
just a regular guy.
Yeah, Bob Kraft had some complaints, may have even seeded those complaints around the NFL. But I'm going to go on with McAfee. I'm going to go on with the Mannings. I'm going to convince you that I can be nice. I'm going to clink glasses with Bob Kraft at the roast.
I'm going to smile.
I'm going to smile a little more. I'm nice. And then he and his boys are on the Zoom call, we find out from ESPN, and they're looking around the NFL, and they cannot find a job for Bill Belichick. So all of a sudden he's like, college. Okay. North Carolina. Replacing Mac Brown. Let's do it. So, to me, I'm incredibly intrigued. I'm very happy for you personally.
Thank you. Yeah.
But in terms of what Bill Belichick wanted when he started this media adventure, I think it's kind of a failure.
It did end up in a very odd place, I would say. Like, from what the expectation was to what the reality is very different than what we all thought. We thought he'd be with, the Jacksonville Jaguars or, there was Cowboys, Giants, right? All these different names and teams were thrown out, but he ends up in Chapel Hill. But he also has a great selling point, which is one of our favorite tropes in sports. The father-son connection, right? His dad was an assistant coach in North Carolina. They're able to sell this whole idea that his first 2 words were beat Duke. So he has been able to sell this dream, which is also goes back to the marketability of the whole situation where now he is the perfect Carolina football coach. And it went from like, there's no world that could happen to a month later. It's like, oh, that makes so much sense. I mean, what a wondrous kind of media storytelling that we've done here to get to this point.
Totally. When you said father-son, I thought you were going Steve Belichick.
That's right. Well, potentially.
And Bill.
We
It's
got
a little bit of
to
a Joe Biden thing. If
Yeah.
I have one more thing to do for my son
Right.
before I get out of here. No, it is pretty cool. And seeing him hold up the shirt.
Yeah,
and
the
all that
38. Yeah, his
Oh my
dad's
God,
old jersey.
it did have some good feels to it. And we know college football, beyond recruiting and transfer portal, is kind of about feels.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get the press conference right, and he got the press conference right. So credit to him for that one.
And you got a school and an administration that has never put money behind football to invest in football for the first time. And you know this because you're a Texas guy. You know what college football looks like. There's always that joke about North Carolina, a sleeping giant, right? They have so many great recruits there that go to Georgia, go to Texas, go to Alabama. Now they're all going to come and play for North Carolina. We'll see if that actually happens. But the larger question is, can Bill Belichick win at North Carolina? And does he have to win? Because Bill Walsh did this at Stanford. He didn't really have to win. He already was who he was. And that also is a guy that Bill Belichick looks up to.
So Dion is the bar here.
I think so.
Can you walk in as a celebrity coach, and in Belichick's case, a much more proven coach than Dion ever was, and put together like 8 wins in your first year? And then by maybe year 2, you're thinking about, we could win that ACC championship game, and we're in. We're in the playoff.
Right.
I mean, I don't think that's crazy at all. And you say sleeping giant. I'm going to be honest. I have not heard that term applied to North Carolina that many times.
Okay.
It's more of a Texas kind of term.
Maybe we hear that from us. You know what I mean? We're all talking to each other.
I haven't really heard that, but I mean, I look at the ACC this year. Like Clemson is in the playoff, SMU is in the playoff, and I see North Carolina again with all the natural tools, with more NIL, with this 400-page thing that he disavowed
that
actually
did not
doing.
happen, right?
I could totally see that. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. And then you got the situation where now we're in the portal. Everyone's talking about who's going to go where. There's been some very speculative reports, maybe the same people that were talking about sleeping giants saying that North Carolina should go after a quarterback like Quinn Ewers, maybe even Arch Manning. Like, do we think that Bill Belichick takes these big swings? Or is he more of a guy that's like, I like this lacrosse player from Loyola, Maryland, and I think he might be a good linebacker? Like, where does he fall in that spectrum in the portal, you think?
Is it Lincoln Riley or is it the Bill Belichick that was drafting those last couple of years with the Patriots? That's kind of the question, isn't it? It is interesting for him because I feel with him it's probably a mix. There's probably some interesting tape watching going on.
Of course.
And the portal's a little different this year because before I feel it was really Wild West and it was, Woj bomb crazy. Here we go. Oh my gosh, you can't imagine this. And now everybody's kind of moneyed up in a way they weren't a couple of years ago. People have their ducks in a row, and they're also much more eager to pay their own guys to stay.
Yes.
It's not about stealing. It's about retention.
Right.
We're not ever letting you get in the portal. So I think he'll be able to get some big people, and maybe a Quinn Ewers type falls out of the sky. But I also think it's going to be a little bit harder just to build completely from scratch now.
Let's talk about the new playoff format because Bill Belichick is going to have to understand that just like the rest of America at this point. We got the 2 buys for Boise State, Arizona State. We got some good first-round matchups. Do you agree with the buys that we have? Do you agree with the format? Like first year, there's been a lot of conversation, so we are not the first people to come to the table, but just your general thoughts.
Well, I was amazed or amused, maybe I should say, at ESPN. Their last 2 selection shows, Reach Davis was like, by the way, these buys have got to go. We need to seed the field. And then if that wasn't enough, he came back the next week. He's like, by the way, these buys need to go. It's like, okay, we get the message.
Yeah, right.
ESPN, you own the playoff. You don't want teams to have buys anymore. I mean, it is a little weird, and it's weird just because of the way the tournament's going to lay out. So you mentioned you got a Boise, you got an Arizona State with a bye. Meanwhile, Oregon, which is unquestionably the number 1 team in college football, unquestionably the number 1 seed in this tournament, gets to play the winner of Ohio State or Tennessee in the second round. Whoa, in the Rose Bowl. So wait, that's
they got the worst draw, right?
That's what you earned.
And a team you already beat if Ohio State were to win, right?
Totally. And if these were seeded in order, right, then it doesn't look like that. It looks a lot different than that. So, I do think they should probably get rid of him. It is hard to just go to those other conferences. By the way, you win your conference, your prize is, well, you're in the tournament. You don't have a bye in the tournament, but you're in the tournament. But I kind of think that's where I would go. And I say this as a fan of the number 3 team in the country who doesn't get a bye.
And let's talk about that team because Texas taking on Clemson. They're favored in this game, minus 11.5. So obviously a big number. Clemson in the ACC, not very respected by many in the media as we saw throughout this process, but they do get 2 teams in. And as far as, who you're going to match up with the ACC, Clemson would probably be the toughest team as far as the talent, the culture, the program, all this sort of stuff. So going into this game, how do you feel about your Longhorns?
First of all, amazing Texas high school football state championship game rematch between Quinn Ewers and Cade Klubnik.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
They played each other in the state championship game.
I love that.
And Cade Klubnik
Friday
won.
Night Lights.
Yeah, so there's Quinn's got to get one back on that. It's funny because the dynamics here are different than anything we've seen in bowl games. You remember you'd have a Texas we had a great season, but we lost our conference championship game. against a kind of Clemson team that was a little bit lower in the polls.
Right.
And the top team would have nothing to play for. And they would often lose that game because they would come in kind of a little bit unprepared and a little bit down, and maybe some of their players had already gone to the pros. That's not the case anymore. So I just want to know what the mentality here is. I feel pretty good about Texas because I think they're a really good team, and they also have a great defense that really balled out against Georgia, despite them not getting that game done in the end, winning that game in the end. But I do wonder what the just mentality of this game is going to be. If you're Clemson, also, hey, you've got some help here because you're in this tournament. You probably didn't expect to be in this tournament.
Kind of playing with house money.
It is totally house money. It's a road game. You know, you're going into Austin. That's another factor of these first round games. These are home games for Texas. So you're just kind of like, yeah, let's see.
And the last time that we saw Texas in this huge game at home was obviously the Georgia game where we had all the celebrities, all the fanfare.
No,
right?
no, that didn't happen.
So are
That's
we
just a
worried?
bad dream, Tate.
Are we worried about that? Like maybe do we tone down the spectacle a little
I paid
bit?
$500 to go to that game.
I saw every A-list star I've ever seen.
Oh
you
my!
know
And there
what
were
I mean?
drones in the
Oh,
sky, kind
I
of like
just-
there are in New Jersey right now, making these like drone pictures. And it was
My
just
advice would be let's not do that this time. You know, there was just a lot of pressure I felt like on Texas. I almost felt bad for
It
them.
is. It's a day game, so I don't think we'll have quite the celebrity KD on the sidelines.
Glenn Powell, Matthew McConaughey
Oh,
standing
my
next to
God.
each other like the future and the present. I mean, unbelievable.
Though it is a team's last home game of the year, because no matter what happens for Texas, they're going to be playing on the road in neutral sites after this. So there is, I don't know, there may be you want to get the boys back for
Yeah.
one more time.
Let's do it. And shout out to Dabo. Very excited for him to meet Matthew McConaughey. Maybe he can be a little bit shell shocked by
I see good
the
things
big
happen
star.
to Dabo for a change.
Yeah, maybe that'll be good. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got more with Bryan Curtis. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Thru the Ringer. We're still here with Bryan Curtis, and we are trying to make sense of all the things happening in media. And in case you missed it, on Netflix, we get to watch the greatest league in North America, the NFL. That is right. The NFL is going to be on Netflix on Christmas Day. What? What is happening, Bryan Curtis? Can you make sense of this? I see everybody that works in media is apparently working on this broadcast, but what should we expect from this?
It's like a class photo, and you're like, wow, who didn't get invited? Is
Right.
that person pissed?
Mad Dog, he was very upset about
He was
this.
pissed. Everybody's agent must be pissed if you didn't get to be
Right.
part of the show. I got so many thoughts about this. The first one is we're getting some broadcaster dream teams here. Some of these cross-network teams. We're going to get Ian Eagle and Greg Olson together.
Right. Great.
First of all, excited. Second of all, can we look down the Thursday night road a little bit? After Al decides to retire, maybe Herbie goes and just decides to do college only. Could you imagine a Ian and Olson Thursday night?
It's a good combo.
That's a damn good combo.
Yeah.
That's amazing, right? And then we got Noah in the second game. We're going to get a lot of Noah in the NBA and NBC coming next fall. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot here that's really fun. It does feel like there is also just a lot. And I'm like, what are we doing with all these people? And there were comedians, right? It was like Bert Kreischer's in there.
right.
Okay.
No, it's basically a Where's Waldo situation where you can just name a media, comedian, personality, whatever, and you can probably find him on this graphic. Everybody's working on this game. So it's interesting to see what it looks like. And this is a lot of flirting with the NFL and Netflix, and this will be their first rat-a-tat together. So it'll be fascinating to watch. Speaking of Netflix, Aaron Rodgers just released a documentary on Netflix. The trailer has come out. Enigma is the name, which is kind of speaking to Aaron Rodgers' aloof nature that we've learned about over the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, if only he'd given a few interviews, we could have gotten a better feel for him.
What was your reactions to the trailer, and then will you be watching this over your Christmas break?
So if I'm honest, it wasn't uninteresting. Both seeing the ceremonies that are being performed on him or that he is performing when he is, getting in touch with his true nature. Seeing him talking to RFK Jr. about
Right.
politics, like, okay.
About the VP potential.
You
right?
have my attention. I think this would be a lot more interesting if we didn't know how the Jets thing went before the beginning of last season. If you'd had Aaron Rodgers, here we go. I'm on this journey of discovery. I'm going from Green Bay. I'm going to the Jets. It's all new. But here we go. We know the Jets has turned out to be an absolute trash fire. So do we care that much anymore? I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a magnet for attention. I do listen sometimes to at least 2 Twitter clips of him on McAfee, but do we care that much about an Aaron Rodgers series?
That's the question.
3 parts.
Yeah.
So at least it's not 6. Because everything feels like it has to be 6 to 10.
Yeah,
these
you're right,
days.
though. Like, if we're leading into a playoff run and they're competing with the Bills to win the division, this is
Sure.
a whole lot more. It hits a whole lot harder than, the situation
Yeah.
where now it feels like a lame duck situation.
I just think this feels like I'm going to wait for the clip on social for me. It really does.
Mm.
If I'm being honest, you seem torn, Tate.
I'm just, I think I'm
Don't
intrigued.
insult Aaron Rodgers
I'm
around
intrigued
me.
by the unlovable loser. You know what I mean? Where I'm like,
The unlovable loser.
Yeah, right. Is this like something where he doesn't want? He's like pushing he's trying to be so out there that I'm like, I just want to see what it looks like. I
don't
want to
know
get
when
an
they stop
idea.
filming either, but I do kind of want to hear his thoughts on the future because there is
Yeah.
tension, right? Oh, I want to come back to the Jets, and the Jets are like, really?
Yeah, they're like,
Do we have to?
I think we're out on this. But all the media that's been around since Hard Knock when he came back, and there was the Joe Namath clip. I mean, it has been fascinating to just see like what the media output is versus the output on the field. They haven't really matched, and this is another example of that. Let's talk about a guy who's on the field always matched up and led him to plenty of championships. Tom Brady, obviously in the booth now. There has been a lot of remarks early in the year about wasn't living up to the billing, but he has gotten better. He has progressed. Where does he sit right now, in your opinion?
It's funny because the theme or the sort of metaphor I keep coming back to is rookie quarterback. And rookie quarterbacks, you and I both know, even this year,
Drake May,
May, Jane Daniels, whoever it is, it's not like this. It's like this. You have a great week and then you have a terrible week. You have a great week and then you seem to have unlearned all the lessons you learned the week before. And he's been like that as an announcer. All the times I'll be like, he's got something now. And then the next week I'm like, ooh, what happened, dude? Did you forget everything? Then he has that
Rams-Bills game.
That's where I was going.
Yep.
Yeah. And the way he pounced on the Bills strategy at the end of the game, that's what it is, right? It's not so much, are you the smoothest talker in the world? Do you say the brightest things about football? Are you on it? Can you just instantly pounce on something before you and I at home even have a chance to think it? And that's what great announcers do.
Yeah.
And that's what he felt like he did in that moment. He understood the situation clearly. He understood they'd screwed up. And then, as it turned out, they had.
And it was the most quarterbacky, to use that term, you know what I mean? I like that as the adverb. The most quarterbacky game that we've had all year, where it was two guys, where you felt like Stafford had like some sort of personal vendetta against Josh Allen. Josh Allen was doing MVP things. I mean, the guy had 3 touchdowns rushing, 3 touchdowns passing. So it was one of those games where you're like, I would like the greatest quarterback ever to break down what's happening. And he did it, and he kind of stepped right into that spotlight and he nailed it.
And it's so big with announcers. Like Tony Romo was started in 2017. It was the dawn of Patrick Mahomes, basically. Like he got to call all those games, not to mention Tom Brady and other people still in the league. It's like, that's awesome. That helps you be a good announcer when you get to call good football.
Especially when you can point out why it's so incredible. You know what I mean? And that's what Romo was doing early on. And people were like, oh, he's a genius, a savant, whatever. Last thing, Brian, before I let you go, 2025 right around the corner. Hope you have a Merry Christmas.
You too, sir.
New year is wrapping or is quickly approaching 2025. Do we have a favorite story for 2025? Something that you got your eyes on as we move into the new year?
Favorite story? I mean, the NBA coming back on 3 different networks.
That's the right answer.
There, yeah, I think it is, right? It's the right answer. Ian Eagle calling games maybe with Dirk Nowitzki
I know. That's been great. Yeah,
on Amazon.
Yeah.
Just seeing all that. And I just think the whole NBA thing getting a facelift is fun. Because, NBA coverage, a lot of really good announcers right now. I think the coverage is pretty good generally. But anytime people have new ideas and get just to put their own stamp on something, that's what I look forward to.
And I do think Giannis is, kind of tapping people on their shoulders saying, hey, remember me? I'm here, and I'm a great story. And there are some great stories in the NBA at large. Brian, you're covering all the biggest stories around on the press box. We appreciate you joining the show. Where can we find all your amazing work? And then we'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your holiday.
Press Box Monday with David Shoemaker, Thursday with Joel Anderson, and some stories to come on TheRinger.com.
There you have it. Bryan Curtis, the best. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Tate.
There you have it for another edition of Thru the Ringer. Thanks to Cousin Sal. Thanks to Bryan Curtis. And appreciate you tuning in to Thru the Ringer. I hope everybody has a happy holidays, and we will see you in the new year.